Hey guys, welcome to Deep South. Today, the day some of you have been waiting for, the canning kitchen is open. Okay, the first thing I did was I took the lid that Danny made off the stove. I keep the stove covered all year round except when I'm canning, and we'll get to the pros and cons of a canning kitchen in a few minutes. But today we're going to be canning sweet potatoes. I have a floor full of sweet potatoes that need to be done, and I've already got them peeled. I've got everything ready. We're fixing to put water in a pot, get it going before we talk about the pros and cons of a canning kitchen. Now, first off, I have a pot like this. It's got to hold at least 3 quarts of water. I have a 1 quart measuring cup. This is just plastic, had it for years. And so I'm going to be doing 1 quart of water at a time. I'm going to do 3 of them in my pot. And if you have trouble toting a heavy pot like a 3-quart pot, go ahead and put it on the stove and do 1 quart at a time, and you don't have to tote 3 quarts of water. And I'm going to turn this up here in my drain board, and I'll explain that later in the pros and cons of a canning kitchen. Now, I have my sugar out here. I store my excess sugar that I use on a daily, weekly, monthly basis in this. I just dump a big bag of sugar in here, and I use what I need, and when it runs out, I go get some more. I have a 1 cup measuring cup. Now, I just put 3 quarts of water in that pot. I'm going to put 3 cups of sugar in that pot and bring it to a boil. That makes my light syrup. For sweet potatoes, I like a light syrup. I don't want them heavy, thick, syrupy. I just want a light syrup so that when I make Danny's dessert, I don't have to add any more sugar because he doesn't like it really sweet. He likes to taste sweet potatoes. For a light syrup, 1 quart of water to 1 cup of sugar. Medium, 1 quart of water to 2 cups of sugar. You like heavy, thick, syrupy stuff? 1 quart of water to 3 cups of sugar. I'm a sugarholic. I never do over 1 cup of sugar to a quart, guys. Okay, so let's talk while this water is boiling. A few advantages, disadvantages, pros, cons of a canning kitchen outside. Now, when Danny first talked about building a canning kitchen outside, I'm like, we're in the Deep South. Are you sure that's a good idea? And he kept saying, okay, it won't heat the house up, you know. So I get that concept. So one of the pros is it does not heat the house up. I don't have to can inside because canning sweet potatoes, quarts go, I can't remember, 75 minutes I think, or 90 minutes. Anyway, it's a long time. So I'm doing quarts today, and we're using ball jars. I'm using 2 ball lids and 5 4-jar lids and rings. The 4-jar sent me lids and rings, so I'm going to be using those, and there will be a link in the description for 4 jars, and I'm going to use 2 ball ones. I already had a pack open that had 2 in it, so we're going to use those up. But the advantage of not being in your house, heating your house, and making your air conditioner go for more than it should because it's trying to heat while you're canning. So the time period for sweet potatoes is long, and I'm going to be canning sweet potatoes for a while. I mean, every day for probably a month or so. And that is an advantage. But there's a disadvantage. I don't heat my house up, but in the summertime, and especially this past summer, the heat outside was in excess of 100 degrees. Some days 120 to 125. One day it got up to 132 heat index. That's hot. I'm not coming out here canning in that. I'm not even canning in my house in that. So the canning stopped during the heat of the summer. And that is when most people can, is all summer long. So for me, here in the Deep South, being outside canning up during the day ain't gonna happen. And lots of times at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, it's already 90 something degrees heat index, at least, bumping 100. So I'm not getting up early and canning either unless I really have to. So canning in the outdoor canning kitchen in the summer in the Deep South, we are 30 miles north of the Mississippi Gulf Coast. I am in South Mississippi. And it's just too hot up during the day in the summer. Now I do can some when it's not that hot. I will come out here and use it. The other advantage is I have all my stuff out here. These cabinets hold my pressure canner, my big pots that I do use for boiling things in, big heavy stainless pots. All my utensils, things like that are all out here in one spot, and when I need them I can take it out and all. But there's a disadvantage. I have to bring out the sugar. I have to bring jars from my room here. I have to bring out the veggies. Like whatever I'm doing, I usually do a lot of my prep work in the house. Yesterday I cut up my sweet potatoes, peeled and cut up the sweet potatoes inside while I was doing other stuff like cooking supper. And so I brought those, I've got to bring those out. Anything that you forgot. So you're making trips back and forth in the house saying, oh yeah, I need this and I need that. And so I don't have, some things I can leave out here, some things I can't. So another disadvantage, the reason I do not leave everything out here, I cannot leave my sugar out here because we have bugs. We're in South Mississippi, we have bugs. The problem is they will infiltrate anything out here if you don't watch. You can spray, but then you're spraying chemicals, and I do spray around the floors and things like that to keep them down. But bugs come under here at night, and so you don't want to leave things out. Even in the cabinets, I have all my dish towels and stuff in a giant Ziploc bag and zip it up and put it in the cabinet. All my utensils are in giant Ziploc bags, zipped up so that things can't get into them. So that is a disadvantage, is the bugs. Another huge disadvantage. Y'all see that battery over there? That's all that's left. Danny cleaned up most of it, but let me show you something. Y'all see this? This is a grain mill. Thank you, Mickey and Kathy from Hills Mills, Homestead, helping me find this and getting it down here. We're going to be grinding corn. Okay, Danny has everything back together except putting the belt and building a chute, and he's going to be ready to do corn. But he wants to wait till it's cool. Y'all, this became his workstation. He had to clean it up early this morning because he had bolts, tools, parts, things all on here. Plus, he comes to my sink and gets water for his rabbits because his barn is off grid. So he runs over here and he fills up his rabbit bottles every day. And so his rabbit bottles were sitting here. And so that's one of the things that you have to worry about, is this collects. Oh, and there was fishing equipment all down here, but that was my fault. Grandkids were here fishing a while back, and when they got tired of fishing, it was hot. I stacked all the fishing equipment in the corner, and we went inside, and I forgot about it. Like you usually do, you overlook it. You go, I'll put that up later, I'll put that up later, I'll put that up later. So things collect. So we had to clean the kitchen up. Not only did I have dust and dirt from the summer, and the dust just collects when it's really no moisture. We've had no rain hardly. We did have rain yesterday, by the way, but before that, no rain all summer long, except sporadic every few weeks, little rains. So it means the sand here floats in the atmosphere and it gets all over everything. So I had to totally wipe down everything here. So that is another disadvantage of an outdoor kitchen. Now, the disadvantages seem to outweigh the advantages right now, right? But I do like having it outside. When it's like the temperature it is today, it's probably in the high 70s. So I can sit out here. I have a back porch with a rocker. I can sit out here and listen for my pot because I don't walk off and leave my pot going. It's some quiet time. I can read, I can listen, I can do work, I can, on the computer, I can bring my computer out. I can sit and just contemplate, listen to music, whatever I want to do, as long as I got my ear on my camera while it's going. So, there are advantages, there are disadvantages to having a canning kitchen outside in the Deep South and trying to use it in the heat of the summer, and plus having it where you have as a storage also, because my car is on the other side and lots of times my Ranger is sitting here. So advantages, disadvantages. It's really nice having a canning kitchen, but it is also very nice to have it inside also, because you can be cooking or doing other work, laundry, all this stuff while you're canning, because you can get your pot going and you can be bouncing around, because I'm a multitasker. I love to get a lot of things done while one thing's going on. And so I try to process. And out here, I can't do that. I can't run back and forth inside all the time and see if the clothes are doing, and then I got to come back and check pot, and then I got to go in and check lunch, and I got to come back out. Now I could cook lunch out here, which means, hey, you could do it all at one time, but then I've got to transfer everything inside out here to cook lunch while I'm canning. Not doable. So, do I like my canning kitchen? Yes, I do. Do I use it 24/7? No, I don't. Do I use it often when I'm canning, especially pressure canning? Yes. I will be doing some figs before long. I put all our figs in the freezer and I can them whole. So we will be doing figs in the future. Today we're doing sweet potatoes. Let's get with it. I know some of you came for the sweet potatoes, some of you came for the advantages and disadvantages. Y'all, sweet potatoes. I'm going to raw pack them. I'm going to put the light syrup on it. I'm going to cap them. I'm going to put them in that pressure canner that I got already heating up. And we're going to go, I can't remember, I'll get the ball book and show you in a few minutes. I got a new ball book too. Thank you, Miss Lippy, for my new big ball book that she sent. We'll make sure quarts go 75 to 90 minutes. I done forgot the exact time, but I know it's a long time. So we'll have the ball book out before we get started listening for our jiggler. And I am using an old Presto canner. I love my Presto. It only has a jiggler. It doesn't have the pressure gauge on it. So the thing with that is I do have a new one under here that has the pressure gauge and the jiggler. And it is a Presto. I really like the Presto. I can't lift. I have weak wrist, so I can't lift those heavy canners. And that's one reason you saw me put 1 quart of water in my pot and put it on the stove and put the other 2 in there. I try to limit how much I have to pick up, and that helps. All right, I tried to get you guys up close where I could show you a little bit about what's going on. This is a stainless steel funnel. You can buy these on Amazon. This is a stainless steel spoon. It's a huge spoon. I have a set of these. I think they came from a kitchen place, and I'm not sure if it's even in business. This is a chopstick that I use just to debubble. A paper towel with vinegar already on it so that we can wipe the rims of our jars. I have 2 ball regular lids and 5 4 jars canning lids and rings. We're using the rings from 4 jars and the lids. So you make sure your jars are clean. You test all the tops. I always do. You test all these. You make sure there's no dents, no bubbles. I always check the rubbers to make sure it looks like that there's a seal all the way around, because some of these companies kind of slack a little. And my hands are clean, even though they look stained up. That's from outside staining. I go ahead and I fill my jar. And I could put this up here and do this, but it tends to, I have to keep moving it because I bump my jars down some. And it rattles, and it's just easier for me to do it this way. Settle down the sweet potatoes some, because if you don't settle them down, then you have a lot of air and space in there. And even doing this, you're going to have some space because they'll cook and shrink down. Okay, now we're going to use this and put our hot water. It's a light syrup. We're going to add our light syrup. And I get up to the bottom rim there. And that's where I leave it. Now this is a long handled spoon, so it will sit in my pot and not have an issue. We take and debubble. And with sweet potatoes and they're raw, you can't really put this thing down in there very well. But if you ever get it kind of going a little, it will take some air out. And then you check and see if you still are up to your bottom ring and all your potatoes are kind of under. And I just took some air bubbles out. Then wipe really good all around because you do not want anything on this. We're going to start with the 4 jars, and Danny likes to line the sign here up with this. I'm not that peculiar, but sometimes I do. It just makes for a better jar when you have them on the shelf. You can see the ball and you can do your writing and it's all uniform. Finger tight, that's all you want. And look at that. Beautiful. They're going in the canner. And we're going to repeat for 7 jars. 2 of them I will use the ball so that we'll know if we have anything going on with either one. And we will talk about the ball jar lids in a future video. The last jar of sweet potatoes going in. We're going to put the lid on. You do not put the jiggler on yet. And let it go till steam starts coming out. All right, let's talk about how long to can. So I have 3 ball books like this one. I have a small ball book from 1960, and each one of them has the same information. Great place to start. In this one, what year is this one? 1999. Sweet potatoes on page 64. And it tells you everything you should do. Quarts, 1 hour and 30 minutes. So it's 90 minutes. Pints are 1 hour and 5 minutes. So that's 65 minutes for pints. An hour and a half or an hour and 30 minutes or 90 minutes, whatever how you want to say it, for quarts. That sounds like a long time, but sweet potatoes are very thick and it takes longer. Now Miss Lippy gave me this new book, and it's a little more difficult for me to figure out because it doesn't say sweet potatoes, or I haven't found it. It's got a lot of recipes, which is really good to have, but it does not tell me exactly sweet potatoes and a whole write-up, or I haven't found it yet. So this one is if you want recipes. This is a good book for recipes. We'll come back when these are through. An hour and a half, guys. You got to bring it up to pressure. Keep the little jiggler at a hula dance, not at charo. Charo goes hoochie coochie, you know, crazy. You want it at a hula, slow and easy jiggling. Talk to you guys later. All right, The sweet potatoes are done. It's been an hour and a half or 90 minutes. Now let's talk about that for just a minute. As the pot is cooling down, it'll quit jiggling, and then you have to wait on the little valve to pop down. Do not open that pot anytime within the first probably 30-45 minutes of turning it off. It takes a while for that valve to pop down. Do not get excited. Just cool it, go get a cup of coffee, chill for a while. Now, one thing about canning, for all you beginning canners, when it says an hour and a half to can sweet potatoes, it takes a lot longer than an hour and a half. First off, you've got to have your sweet potatoes peeled and cut up. It probably took me an hour to an hour and a half yesterday to get enough sweet potatoes peeled and cut up to put in 7 quarts. Then you have to heat the syrup, which takes 15 to 20 minutes according to your stove. And so you've got to heat your syrup. On top of that, once you get out your jars, you start putting things in jars, you've got all the time adding things to your jars and putting the lids on and all that kind of stuff. So add another 20 minutes to it if you want to. Before that, you've got to get your jars and all your canning supplies and all that stuff and make sure all of it, add another 30 minutes because you're going to be running around getting everything together. Then, when you start the process of turning the canner on, you've got to build up the steam first and let the steam come out the top before you put this little jiggler on there. Add another 20-30 minutes to your time at least to get it done right. Then when it starts jiggling, you monitor it for an hour and a half with the sweet potatoes. That's where your hour and a half comes in. So when it finishes and you turn it off like I just did, you can't open it right now and be done. You've got to wait for that little valve to fall down. Usually 30 to 45 minutes before that happens. So you see, canning 7 quarts of sweet potatoes takes a lot of time. But from the time you start peeling till you take the jars out of this, and then you got to let them sit overnight and let them cool. At least 24 hours, guys. Just say 24 hours to can 7 jars of sweet potatoes. Now, I have done sweet potatoes back to back and done 4 canners in a day. I would start early morning and peel as many potatoes as I could, get them in the canner, and while the canner's going, I had my next batch going, peeling them, getting ready. And when the first ones come out, I'd put the second ones right over in and start it all over again. And I did 4 canners before 9 o'clock that night. Started at like 6 that morning. So you can do it. It's a lot of work because sweet potatoes is the longest, and I guess sweet potatoes and corn both take an hour and a half or 90 minutes. So thank you for stopping by. The canning kitchen is not closed yet because it's got to cool down. We'll close it later, show you the sweet potatoes, things like that. But do I like my canning kitchen? In the spring, the fall, and the winter, yes. Midsummer, no. I use mine a lot in the spring because our English peas, our green beans, all that kind of stuff comes in early. Some of our fruits come in early, and I can make jams and jellies early. By May, the end of May, 1st of June, I'm usually through canning until September. And this September's been pretty hot, so this is the end of September. It's like September 25th. Happy birthday, Bree. And she's sweet 16 today, one of my granddaughters. And I can from September on through to May. That's usually when I can things. And in the heat of the summer, I just leave it alone. So the canning kitchen is worth it to me from fall to spring or midsummer, but not during the heat of the summer. Thank you guys for stopping by Deepsouth. There'll be a picture of the sweet potatoes at the end. We'll talk to you later. Bye, guys. The canning kitchen is closed, guys. All 7 quarts sealed.